You are about to learn the secret to stopping porn addiction once and for all. This could literally save years of misery, because chronic porn addiction doesn't just destroy someone's sex life, it destroys their ability to feel emotion, joy, pleasure from anything. Porn addiction isn't about sex. It's not about pleasure. It's about dopamine. Right now, pornography is the #1 cause of erectile dysfunction in men under 40 years old. And erectile dysfunction is not just about losing erections. It's about losing libido. It's about losing the ability to climax, causing a person to feel very empty, craving the stimulation, giving into it, and then the whole cycle starts over and over again. It's a trap. So pornography not only destroys a person's private parts and sensation for sex, but also their relationships. The porn industry is not selling sex. They're selling dopamine spikes. The biggest confusion I think people have with dopamine is they think that it's a pleasure hormone. It's not. It's actually a neurotransmitter, which is similar to a hormone, but it works within the nervous system. Dopamine is all about the anticipation before the pleasure. It's the want. It's the craving. It's the gas pedal. It's an excitatory neurotransmitter. It gets you to seek out certain things for survival. So there's other things that will give you the pleasure, but dopamine is not that. Pornography is hijacking this whole system right here, which is the basis of bad habits and addictions. There's something called the Coolidge effect. They've researched male mammals, and after mating, the interest in that mate drops. But if you take the mammal and introduce it to a new female, that desire instantly returns. So pornography tends to weaponize this. This is why on their sites they have endless sidebars with all sorts of related videos and autoplay. But also there's this escalation from watching soft porn to more hardcore porn to more extreme porn. And the reason that is because of this. Anytime you get an extreme dopamine spike, the receptors in the cell get sucked right back into the cell to the point where you get less receptors and less receptors for dopamine. And so the feedback loop basically tells the body to make more and more and more dopamine because it's not connecting to the cell. This is a very similar thing that happens with insulin resistance as well. When you consume a lot of carbohydrates over a period of time and you increase this hormone called insulin, the receptors for insulin do the exact same thing. They get sucked into the cell, and that whole mechanism causes the body to compensate and make more and more of it. So what happens over time is you get a massive amount of dopamine, which creates a massive amount of anticipation, craving, almost like an obsessive urge to watch more porn. Or if it's with insulin resistance, you're addicted now to sugar. But on the other side, the actual pleasure sensation goes lower and lower and lower and lower. And this is why a person can go from soft porn to extreme porn, because they need more and more of that to create or feel a sensation or a satisfaction. I mean, just think about our ancestors. They would go out and get food maybe every 3 days. Nowadays, we have food around us 24/7. Very easy access, unlimited carbohydrates, unlimited junk food. And then think about our ancestors with mates. Very difficult to find mates. Now you can find 3 artificial mates, which of course are all fake, every 3 seconds by scrolling on a pornography site. And the porn industry knows this. They've done research on this. They have a lot of the big data. They know the soft porn goes into the extreme porn. They know how it affects dopamine and how to use this to get people more addicted. But the big problem is it's desensitizing dopamine for you. Think about the porn industry. 98 to 99% of all porn is free. The porn industry makes billions of dollars in profits from that 1 to 2% that pay for the porn. The people that are paying for the porn are completely desensitized from dopamine. Now they need extreme hardcore porn to create any stimulation at all because their dopamine receptors are literally gone. Too much of it in the body creates something called excitotoxicity. Too much excitement is toxic to your neurons. It can actually kill the nerve cells. Let me just give you another example. So let's say we're in a dark room and we turn on a flashlight, okay? so you can probably see my face right here. If I take the flashlight and shine it into your eyes, or right into my eyes right here, I'm going to squint, right? Because the light is too bright. It's too much volume. So the squinting to the light is protecting my eyes from the light. It's an adaptive mechanism. This is what's happening with your cells with dopamine. The receptors are squinting and they're not allowing this dopamine to enter the cell. That's called downregulation. So when you're in a relationship with a real person, it's slower, it's unpredictable, versus porn, which is instant, extreme. And so unfortunately, the person is in a trap. They're stuck in pictures on the internet and also in their mind. And it keeps your brain in a constant state of massive dopamine spikes. And this is where real life can't compete with this. So now let's get into the secret of how we undo this problem. The good news is that the downgraded receptors are reversible. And so what's the secret to reversing this? Being bored. Because at first you're thinking people go towards pornography originally because they're bored, but it's also a cure. I'm not talking about passively being bored with life, okay? I'm talking about actively being bored with the screaming dopamine that is inside you, telling you to go watch porn. I know personally, I hate being bored. I will keep myself super busy all the time to prevent boredom because sometimes it's very, very painful just sitting around doing nothing. But I want you to use boredom as a weapon, okay? Let me explain. Think about porn as a screaming person. You can give in to the screaming, you can yell back at the screaming, or better yet, you can go into a state of boredom. And the more obsessive this urge, the more you sit back and just get bored on purpose. Aggressively being bored. Because just like insulin resistance, right? You're gonna go on a fast. You're gonna stop eating carbohydrates. There has to be something you're gonna have to do to avoid this dopamine spike. And boredom is the best way to do a dopamine fast. Why? Because what triggers dopamine is excitement, anticipation. What lowers dopamine is the lack of that. When you get these urges or these desires or these impulses to go watch porn, don't fight it, don't negotiate it, don't try to distract it, don't try to escape, just sit there, be there comfortably, observe how loud it gets, and then turn up the boredom. That is how the receptors come back. And what you're going to observe is the impulse will go up and then it goes down. And you continue to be bored every time you have this impulse. It's going to become easier and easier to deal with this. Why? Because you're going to have normalized dopamine and less obsessive thoughts about doing that. Now, parallel with that, you want to make sure your environment aligns with this, right? Like, don't take your phone in the bedroom where you're tempted. Put blockers on all of your devices. Do not use social media where there's any soft porn at all. I mean, this is the exact same thing you would do if you had sugar cravings, right? You don't buy junk food and you don't bring junk food in the house. That way it's not there to tempt you. Make sure your environment doesn't have any triggers. We're trying to get rid of the constant stimulation that occurs with dopamine. A couple other things that are super vital to restore dopamine. Sleep. Get more sleep. If you can take naps, that's good, but an extra hour of sleep will be huge in restoring those receptors for dopamine. Consistent, regular exercise restores the dopamine issue as well, especially resistance training, also going on a low carbohydrate diet. Why? Because carbohydrates also create this dopamine spike as well. So you want to do the healthy version of the ketogenic diet. Take more zinc. Zinc is probably one of the most important trace minerals in dopamine. With magnesium, getting more sunlight, being outside, keeping yourself busy, doing productive things. So remember, porn addiction is not about sex. It's about hijacking this system right here, dopamine. And the way out is not through more stimulation. It's primarily about applying this one emotion, boredom, which is the best emotion, not about your whole life, just about being bored with the screaming going on inside. I have a free download that I want to give to you. This free download is my daily routine in a checklist. This is a routine that I use every day to feel like I'm 18 years old, even though I'm 60 years old, and I want to give it to you for free. And so there's a little link down below. Click it and definitely download that. Now, since we're on the topic of dopamine, insulin resistance or carb addiction is another parallel problem. If you have not seen my video on how to resolve insulin resistance, I put it up right here. Check it out right now.